Conor,
How you getting on, mate?
I'm good, my friend. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you all right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, yeah. I think there might be a bit of a delay, but yeah, I can hear you all right. How are you? What are you up
Good,
to?
good. You? No bad. Good Christmas?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Standard stuff, really.
Yeah, yeah. Quiet.
Yeah. What are you up to these days then?
Not much. So, since the last time we spoke, I don't know if you can remember that I sent you a job description.
Yeah.
Uh, so that I got that job.
Did you? Oh, well done. Good man.
Um, I've only really been in the job about 4 weeks. Started just first week back in January. So
Brilliant.
yeah, good.
So what are you doing now then?
So it's more of a software type of role with electrical design stuff as well. So kind of moving away from building test and control panels. There will be an element of that, but it'll be more software related and kind of more design related.
Yeah.
So kind of down that route.
So what's the role like officially classed as?
I am a systems engineer, but hopefully it will be branching into maybe a control systems engineer.
And I am engineer, did you say?
Sorry, I am a systems
Oh,
engineer.
sorry, man. Sorry, yeah, I misheard you there. Okay, cool. And what were you, just remind me, what were you doing before?
So it was again, it was a systems engineer as well, but it was
Right.
semiconductor machines, and I was kind of refurbishing them and up revving them from old technology to kind of more newer stuff.
Okay, yeah, that rings a bell now.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's all right then, the new
yeah, it's good.
role?
It's again, I'm looking forward to the fact that I can maybe get my teeth into writing software and things like that now, and doing more electrical design stuff as well.
Yeah. Oh, nice one, mate. Do you I don't know if Jen mentioned to you about potentially having a discussion about the program and yeah, seeing how it helped and then if it's
Yeah,
all right
yeah,
with you potentially using it on the website at some point.
absolutely no bother,
Oh, mate, that'd be, yeah, much appreciated.
no
Thank you.
problem with that.
Well, the first thing is, mate, thanks for taking the time to have a conversation. And it's good to catch up.
Yeah,
Did you
likewise.
join? When did you join the
It was
program?
probably like the middle of November.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, like 1.5 months ago, 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
6, 7 weeks ago.
Yeah. And what made you consider joining the program? What were you looking for help with?
Well, because I kind of wanted to branch into more electrical design and all that sort of stuff, I wasn't really up to date with standards and selecting components and how you select those components and kind of essentially taking a project from nothing and all the way through. That was one of the things that you essentially done. That was one of the massive things that I wanted to go through. And you obviously offered the design element of your course and also the schematic side of your course as well. So that appealed to me a lot.
And have you been through that yet?
So I'm about two-thirds of the way through. I've completed both the schematic and I've completed the panel one. I've
Yeah.
not started the design one yet,
Okay.
but the schematic one was brilliant. It really helped me a lot with.
Okay.
In parallel, I had kind of been given a project in my last work, and it was an old panel from about 1980, and I had to kind of up rev it to today. So
Yeah.
because I was doing your stuff and that at the same time, it was just so easy for me to transition all of your stuff onto that and
Oh.
understand the today's standards type of thing.
And you got that just from the initial sort of foundational schematic section.
Yeah, I didn't need to go into the control panel bit to be able to do that. Like for example, there was motors in the job that I was doing, so uh, using your thermal overloads and the contactors and all that, and your spreadsheet was magic for the like parts lists.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
used
yeah.
I used I used everything from that
Oh, good man.
to
Well,
kind of
mate,
size everything. It was brilliant.
I'm glad like this. It's nice to hear people actually putting it into use.
Yeah,
So yeah, great to
that,
hear,
that's
buddy.
the only way you really get stuff out is if you actually sit down and do it. You made an interesting comment to say that when everyone kind of takes on a course, they always think, oh, it's a big university course that takes 4, 6 months, years. But yours, I think you'd said that if you condense it all down, it's like 11 hours.
Yeah, the first section's about 11 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's probably the bit that's helped me the most so far.
See, mate, it doesn't take long, does it, to get through
No,
this
no,
stuff?
definitely not. Well, the thing is, as well, if you micromanage it as well, and like I was, because I was in work and doing them in parallel, I could kind of do most of it at my
Yeah,
work. But I mean, if
that's
you
good.
dedicate an hour a night, everyone's really got an hour a night to do something like that, like,
Yeah.
or even half an hour.
That's it. Like that's what I say to people coming in now. I've worked it out. If you can get through all the technical, if you put aside half an hour every night, you can get through all of the technical, like from
Yep.
the foundational schematic stuff, the panel stuff, the design stuff, you can get through it all in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
If you
easy.
put yeah, if
Yep.
you put aside half an hour, but people don't want to, they'd rather scroll on
Well,
short
that's
form
it. It's
social
like it's
media.
when they get in from their work at night, they're like, "Oh, right, I don't particularly want to do that." But it's the initial, like, if you sit down and you start it, then it's much easier to. But it's the initial actually turning the laptop
Yeah,
on to actually start the learning process.
yeah.
But I,
What?
I I got so much out of it based on where I was to where I am now.
Oh, mate, well, that's really nice to hear. Just going back to that point, though, it's like if it's a priority for you, don't leave it to the last thing at the end of the day where you're knackered and you've done
I
like
know.
8 to 12 hours. Like carve some time out in the middle of the day or
Yep.
first thing, get up like half an hour early, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like prior if it's
Well,
a priority,
exactly.
prioritize it.
Well,
You know?
most of the people that obviously come in from work at night don't want to look at work anymore, so that's probably a better idea to you need to try and fit it in the middle of your day when you're at your most proactive.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, Connor, your goal then and what you wanted to get out of the program was to ultimately understand the electrical design and did you mention project delivery, like start to
Yeah,
finish?
pretty much, yeah. That's one of
Yeah,
the main things in my job now. It'll get to a point where it'll be I'll be given a project and it'll just be me all the way through.
and the I'm trying to remember back to our first call, what the goal was for you. Was it like career progression initially, and then you're looking at self-employed, contractor, business owner? That
I don't know if I've really given that much thought yet. That's maybe something to come in the future. At the moment, it's probably the main goal for me is to get to a level of knowledge where I can think to myself, "Yep, I can confidently, if I want to, tomorrow go and do that."
yeah, yeah. I mean that's the sensible thing to do. I think is it sounds a little bit selfish, but like I'm a business owner, like business owners know this. It's like people are going to like learn on your time because it's less risky. If they do plan on going self-employed, own business, it makes sense just to play it safer rather than
Yeah,
going straight out and doing your own thing. It's just a bit too risky until you've had hands-on,
exactly. Another
know
thing
the
as well
industry.
is the fact that if you give yourself this massive big window to, oh, I want to be a business owner, and you've not really got a lot of knowledge, that's a big learning curve. Whereas if you go to yourself, oh, I want to learn this, then this, then this, then this, it becomes so
Yeah,
much easier to get to that end point.
yeah.
But you've not gave
And
yourself the mammoth task of
yeah,
learning
it's
it
a bit
all,
it's yeah, because you've got that mammoth task of learning it all, but then you've got the mammoth task of
starting a new business and all that sort of stuff.
yeah, and then trying to get money in and then
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
bills and like it's quite a lot.
yeah. Becomes too stressful at that point.
So it just so it makes sense, doesn't it? Just
Yeah, you just
what you're
well,
saying.
again, if you just follow your program, by the end of it, you will have the knowledge to. All right, I've now got all this knowledge. Maybe I need to now go out and get a bit of experience, and then after I've got that experience, I now know that. Yep, I can push on, and if I want to start
Yeah,
a business, do that.
yeah. Did you have any initial hesitations like when we were on that initial call?
Yeah, probably because you had originally you had that kind of advertised it as like a control system specialist, so I thought you were going to give me some sort of software knowledge. And then
Mm,
obviously in the first call you had kind of said, no, it's not really like that. It's more of a like design type of thing and taking you through and how to be kind of independent on your own. But not going to lie, the thing that kind of you brought me back in with is you showed me a slide and there was six sort of, I don't know if you would call them steps, or
Yeah.
let's say responsibilities that a control system engineer would have to a
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah.
that's what kind of made me go, no, that's brilliant. That's exactly what I want to be. So that's what kind of brought me back in.
I've stopped using that slide. Maybe I should bring that
No,
back
put
in.
it back in. You need to put it back in.
All right, mate. I think I'll do that. Yeah. So, because what you've got is like the end thing in project delivery is really the programming, the software,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there's it depending on what industry you're in, the application is, whether it's building control, smart home, industrial stuff. There's so many different software systems. Like we can't
No,
train
of
all of
course.
that. And you have to normally, 9 times out of 10, go on the manufacturer training, get a
Yeah,
license key to
yep.
use their software. So it's just like, let's just make sure that you're happy with absolutely everything before that point. And then
Well,
you go and decide.
yep, exactly. On 2 points, to one, if you want to end up writing software, you need to know all the fundamental stuff anyway. And two, the guy who writes the software, if the design's bad, then the software can never really progress. So if the
Yeah,
design needs to be good in order for the guy to write the software well.
yeah, yeah.
So there's
Really good
two
point.
two kind of important points that if you want to write software, then yep, you need to learn all the stuff that comes before it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Nah,
What
pretty much.
the things that underpin the software. So when you come to write the software, you have that, like you mentioned, the fundamental understanding, the things that underpin it.
Yep.
It just
From I mean,
makes
from sorry, on you go.
no, you go, mate.
I said sorry from my apprenticeship. I always kind of wanted to be that if I was writing software and I was on site and something electrical had went wrong, I didn't want it. I didn't want to kind of sit back and go, well, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just here to write software. I wanted to be able to go, oh well, no, I can fix that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you want to be in like the top 3% of engineers that can
Yeah.
do that, or do you want to be one of those people that, sorry, not my job kind of
I
thing?
know you just need to go and get the electrical guy to do that.
And certainly if you want to go self-employed and business owner, like
Yep.
you you need to know
You
that
need to.
stuff.
That is a need. Yep. Exactly.
Because just go back to like at that first second call that we had, did you have any hesitations around, because it's quite a new concept, right? Like online learning, and certainly in our industry, did
Yep.
you have any concerns around it being like an online thing?
No, not really. Again, I think the thing with the online thing is it's not really. It, this might sound weird, but it's not your responsibility. It's the learner's responsibility. You put the content out there, and if we want to learn it, then we learn it. That's why when we spoke about it at the start of the call. If you want to really get the knowledge here, it's pretty easy because all you need to do is sit down and actually put the work in.
Yeah.
There's
What
nothing rocket
about
science about it.
what about on the subject of like getting hands-on? The fact
What do
that,
you?
it's not necessarily like it's
Okay.
online, it's not in
I
person getting
understand what you
hands
mean.
on.
Yeah, again, it's maybe a wee bit different for me because I had so much experience building control panels before I'd done this course. There's maybe an argument to say that if you've not got that massive experience, it would be harder to pick up. But again, um, so obviously I've just done the control panel one. It's a lot of the stuff, pretty much all of it, was what I'd done in my apprenticeship, so I could relate to a lot of it. So again, maybe if you've not done a lot of that, you would maybe take maybe a wee bit longer, or you would maybe struggle a wee bit. But the good thing about that is if you are struggling a wee bit, you've kind of if you fall into the sector where right, I need to start building control panels again, you fall back on that knowledge.
Yeah. What about to people that, they, let's say they haven't necessarily built panels like you had before, but
Yep.
they're engineers, they do service maintenance, they're electricians, they do like mechanical guys, heating guys. They have, they're used to using their hands. What would you say to them if they were maybe a bit hesitant about like, oh, I'm not necessarily going to get hands on with it?
No, again, it's if you've got any sort of hands-on background, if you followed the course, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. There's nothing in the control panel hands-on side of it that people who aren't hands-on people couldn't do.
And why do you say that?
Just because it's so well documented, and it's like you've really stripped it back to be like, look, this is, for example, the isolator. I done isolators a whole lot different than you in terms of I used to just put the isolator in and then mark the gap on the door and then
Like
cut the,
mounting them on
yeah,
the,
yeah.
yeah, right,
And
yeah,
then when I physically put the shaft in, I would close the door and then measure the gap that the door was on and just keep
yeah,
reducing that and reducing that.
right,
That's again when you were saying um you have your laser level and all that sort of stuff. It becomes, the guys have used laser levels in the past, and there's whole sorts of different ways to do things. So if you showed someone one way of doing it, a guy who's never built a panel but has hands on would probably find his own way of doing it.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so and on the subject of being online, like you're of the younger generation, so maybe you're not so nervous about
Yeah, maybe.
doing
Yeah,
online pro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what would you, I know you've not been through the design yet, but what would you
Yeah.
say has helped you the most within the program, Connor, so
Well,
far?
definitely the schematic side of things. Again, I think the biggest thing about the schematics things was like being up to date with like today's standards. Um, Yeah, and again, just the way you done it with the relays and the double poles, and taking one to the inputs and the other ones to lights and stuff like that. That was all kind of stuff I interpreted and put into my build. I don't want to say that the panel one didn't help me, but it's just I related to it much more instead of it actually helping me.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to doing the design one because that's essentially one of the massive reasons as to why I joined this. But I'm glad that the schematic one helped me the way that it did. I personally didn't think that would have helped me as much as it did.
it's really good to hear it. Have you tried any, did you go through any of the scenarios?
I done them all. Yeah,
Yeah. How
done them
did you
all.
get on with those?
Well, a lot different to yourself. But again, there's a lot of real world experience with me with stuff like that because there are a lot of the ones that you'd spoke about that I think there was one that you had to, did you have to add an e-stop,
That was
or
the
you had,
first one.
yeah, you
Yeah.
had to add, again, you done it in a certain way, and I've done stuff like that on real sites. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
How, so I think there's nine or ten. How many did you get right? Be honest with me.
Oh, probably not very much in terms of the way I would do it to the way you would do it. No.
But you get the same outcome.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. See, this is the thing. It's like writing software, writing code. It's just logic, and people's logic are different. And it's the
yeah. Of
same thing
course. Yeah,
with controls and wiring. It's like as long as you can achieve the same thing in the
yeah,
same way, there's multiple ways to skin a
yeah.
cat.
Exactly. Just as long as see if it looks good and it works, you're fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty much.
100%. What what's what's the plan with you then? Like, so are you just gonna stay as a system engineer, um get involved with the software, get involved with the design. Once you've done that, where do you see yourself going, Connor, after
Again,
that?
I'm not 100% sure. So what I would personally like to do. So I'm 26 just now. So I would hope that by the time I'm 30, I have got a really good grasp on both electricals, design, software. I don't know if I mentioned it to you in the first call that I'd love to move to Florida.
Yes, that does ring a bell. Yeah.
So that's potentially a long term goal for next 4 or 5 years. But the if I within the next kind of 2 or 3, if I kind of really knuckle down and properly get my teeth into everything and really understand it, then that allows me to, when I'm, maybe I've got the option to, if I want to go out there and do something like that. It's a kind of the same scenario as you're saying that the program helps you essentially start a business at the end of it. Instead of me starting my business, I want to go and work in another company, in another country.
Yeah. Why Florida?
I just go there. I've been going to Florida for the last 16 or 17 years or so.
Oh, okay, fair
It's
dues.
just, it's pretty, I know it really well. There's a lot of things there that I like doing a lot of water activities and all that sort of stuff. So that,
Yeah.
again, it hit the nail on the head.
I went to when I was a kid, we went to like Disney World, but then we
Yeah,
spent a
yeah.
week in Tampa as
All
well,
right.
jet skiing all
Yep.
around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. It's
So
a nice life to live. I can see why.
so 2 years ago, I was old enough to rent a car for the first time. So me and my girlfriend went over, and it was a case of like there was no theme parks done at all. It was like natural springs, beach. We went skydiving. It was just a completely different holiday, and it was
Yeah.
that kind of probably that holiday. I was like, nah, I'd love to just live here forever.
I didn't go to Miami. Have you been to Miami? Miami Beach?
I've drove past Miami. I went to the Keys last year, but I've never stopped in Miami.
Does that appeal to you?
I don't
Miami?
know. It's a bit of a party, hustle and bustle city.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe it could be a bad influence on you if you get sucked into
Maybe.
that. Yeah. What industry do you want to work in?
Again, well, right now I'm in the nuclear industry. Quite like the way that everything's going so far. Again, it's really early days. But I just like the controls and automation industry. Things like that. I wouldn't say there's an industry that I don't want to work in, if you put it that way.
Just as long as you're doing controls and automation.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's complex. Like that's the thing that makes me want to do stuff like this is complex problems, and I want to be able to work them out.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much.
Mate, and that's the thing. There's an endless amount of problems that can be
I know.
solved with that's the beauty of it, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Pretty
It's
much. That's one of the main reasons I joined the company before this one. Is I had spoke to a couple of other companies, and they had kind of said to me, "Yep, that's fine." But when they kind of pitched it to me, they had kind of said, "Yep, we're a controls and automations company, and you could potentially be writing software, but it'll be in like bottling plants." So it was always just going to be the same thing. Whereas when the semiconductor company, it was going to be really different, and the actual coding involved in coding the machines was very complex and all that sort of stuff. So that's the kind of route that I liked to go down.
and is this coding? Are we talking like industrial PLCs? Are we talking like C++? plus plus? And are we talking ladder logic programming
Yeah,
or
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
So it was like Omron in the last job. It was like mostly Omron PLCs, and it was both structured text and ladder logic, all
okay, yeah,
industrial.
structured
Not
text.
not really any sort of C plus plus or Python or anything like that. It was all industrial code.
Yeah. Well, structured text is kind
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
there's
yeah,
similarities, isn't
yeah,
there,
yeah,
to
yeah,
to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, cool. What would you say to anyone that's considering joining a program?
Again, all dependent on where they want to end up. But if they want to kind of go down a similar route to me, then it's a no-brainer. It's just a no-brainer. Doesn't really matter where you are in terms of, well, obviously if you're a really experienced guy, then and you've been around the industry for maybe 25 years, then maybe not. But if you're
Yeah.
someone who's maybe got like 5 to 10 years worth of experience and kind of wants to dive in a wee bit deeper, or someone who's is at the early stages, I mean, this would be perfect for an apprentice, to kind of whilst they're running in parallel with their actual apprenticeship to be learning stuff like this. Again, yeah, it's a no brainer depending on where you are in your experience level.
Thank you, mate. That's decent of you to say so. What what's interesting though is like why isn't this stuff being taught, through businesses or colleges or schools?
I know. I
Like,
don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's again. It's hard to explain. Really hard to explain.
because it was never taught to me, you
Well, to
know.
be fair to me, in my first year as my apprenticeship, I went to an engineering college for a year, and that's probably one of the best things that happened to me in terms of the amount of knowledge and experience that I came out of there with. Even as just a first year apprentice, like going back, it was nothing, but the foundations that it put upon me was brilliant. And that's kind of like the same idea as this course. Maybe we're not the hands on experience, but you certainly get the knowledge.
I did exactly the same thing. I went to like a college
Yeah,
to do like my MVQ, but I also just before I started my apprenticeship with the company, they
yeah,
put you through like an intensive 6 to 9
yeah,
month
yep,
it was what was it, Beta Basingstoke Engineering Technology Association or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah, you get hands on doing mine was more mechanical related, but yeah, like just the foundations of engineering. like milling,
Yeah, I
turning,
done. Yeah, exactly.
machining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was more electrical, but I done 16 weeks of practical, and then I done 16 weeks of college to get my NC, and then after that I done a HNC for 2 years, and years 2 and 3 in my apprenticeship, and then year 4 I was morely based in the office building panels, and then going out to site installing things like that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, cool, mate. I've got another call, mate, so I've got to jump off.
No worries.
But Connor, mate, I really appreciate you taking the time
No,
to
anytime you want to
have a
speak to
catch
me,
up.
Chris, just email me or whatever, and we'll set up a call. I'm never really that busy.
All right, mate.
But
That's really
anytime, mate,
appreciated.
it was brilliant speaking to you again.
Yeah, and you, buddy. All right, well, all the best. Keep me updated with how you get
Likewise.
on career-wise, and you're in the community anyway, so we keep in touch.
Yep.
All right, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Connor. Take it easy, bud.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye bye.